it's Jenny from Jenny Stitches and welcome back to my channel again. Today I am back in the colourful corner and very happy to be joining you to chat all things Great British Sewing Bee again. And now we are on to week 7, definitely 7 I think. I am really sorry that I didn't get a chance to do a week 6 video last week. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll have seen that unfortunately some vandals smashed the shop window last week, and that kind of took my focus of attention for a few days. And then with having the bank holidays for the Jubilee, the Thursday was my birthday, so I definitely had a proper day off for that. I'd intended on filming on the Saturday, but there was so much noise outside the shop on Saturday because there was a street party going on. I just wasn't able to get the video done, so I'm really sorry about that, but I really enjoyed Music Week and that's all I've got to say. So back to business, on to week 7, and we were on lingerie and sleepwear, which was really cool. I tend to advise people a lot about sleepwear. It's a really common sewing project. It's one of my favourite things to make. I love my handmade pyjamas. And I felt very smug watching the Sewing Bee on Wednesday evening, sat there in my handmade Liberty fabric pyjamas with piped pockets and piped edges. So I was like, I know this is my subject matter, specialist subject. So yeah, it was really good fun. So for the pattern challenge, the sewists had to make a matching bra and knicker set. Now then, I've never made underwear, I'll be quite honest. I'm quite intimidated by bra sewing, but also quite curious. I know a couple of years ago on the sort of online sewing community, sewing bras became really popular. And yeah, quite a lot of sort of prominent sewing bloggers were making a lot of bras. If you follow Lauren in Nashville, Ladybird, I'll pop a link to her Instagram below. She was just churning out loads of these bras by Erin, who I will leave a link to below. And since then I have always been curious about the process, and you know, that kind of, I want to have a go but I'm a little bit scared. Yeah, so that episode may have just bumped that up my list of priorities because it looked really interesting, and I do like the fact that you can just use little bits of fabric. Unfortunately, I don't stock all of the bits and pieces for making bras. It's quite a sort of specialist supply. There is a really good website that I know of called Bra Makers Supply, which I'll pop a link to for you. I think technically they call them findings, but yeah, all the little notions, the straps, the sliders, the clasps, the underwires, all that sort of thing. And there's also some really good bra making kits that you can buy, so I might give one of them a go at some point. But what about you? Have you tried them? Have you got any tips? Let me know in the comments, because I genuinely feel that sewing your own underwear could be a massive game changer. We have, in our town centre, we have lost Marks and Spencer's and we have lost Debenhams, so there is nowhere really to go for proper underwear, like nice underwear, or to be fitted, or to try things on. So the ability to sew your own would be pretty cool. That being said, I do have some patterns to share. Just have some tea. It's Friday evening. I am looking forward to going home and relaxing because it's sunny. It's very windy today. I think this storm is on its way in. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you is Simplicity 8229. It's one of the Madeline Intimates patterns. As always, I will pop a cover picture there for you, and this has both the bra and the pants on the pattern. I thought it was very similar to what they did on the bee actually. What sizes does this cover? Oh, it's funny. Instructions for determining bra size can be found in the instructions. Oh, I'll have to have a look into that. But yes, yeah, looks good. That's that one. And the other one that I thought I would show you just quickly is the Tilly and the Buttons Iris Knickers. This was a new release. can't remember if it was this year or last year now. It's relatively recent. I think it was earlier this year. And I know a lot of customers have been making this pattern up in sort of leftover pieces of jersey and things. So yeah, that's a really good introduction to lingerie sewing. So then they did the transformation with the thermal night. I'm not going into it. And although I did love Brogan's sort of collar, it reminded me of the dress out of the Tilly and the Buttons stretch book, where she puts in that ruffled neck, like the bib. Reminded me of that. Okay, and finally the made to measure was luxury men's pyjamas. I feel like this would have been my kind of challenge. I would have loved this. As I said, I've made quite a few pairs of pyjamas in the past, and I've made some piped ones as well. For myself, not for my husband. My husband runs hot. He is not interested in pyjamas. I'll leave that there. It's probably more information than you require, but he's always hot. Whereas I like pyjamas, I love my dressing gown, I have a love affair with my dressing gown. A blanket on my knee, a cat on top of the blanket, and then usually my knitting on top of that. So I like to be cosy, I like nice pyjamas. So I've never had call to make them for a man. However, they're very, very similar. They're generally pretty unisex. Some of the ladies' patterns are a bit more fitted. And patterns wise, I pulled out a few. Simplicity always comes up trumps with sleepwear. They're really good. There's a good section in the catalogue of pyjama patterns, so it's usually in the winter that I do a lot of that with people, sort of looking at maybe making Christmas pyjamas or a nice wintry project. And first up I'm just going to show you 3971, and this is a unisex, easy to sew pattern, and sort of very much resembles the shape that the sewers took on with the sort of lapel shirt and bottoms. You've got the option on here for shorts or full length pants, and there's even a little knit vest top thrown in, so that's actually a really good value pattern, and it's got men's and ladies sizing on it. But yeah, just sort of nice and straightforward, that one really. You could add piping at any stage in that if you wanted to. If you haven't had a go at piping before, I would highly recommend it. It's really, really good fun, especially if you make your own. Make some bias tape and pop the piping cord in. It's yeah, it's really enjoyable. Try it around a cushion first. And very similar to that, but with the sort of piping in the instructions and the pattern and a little bit more luxe, is 1504, and this covers children, teens and adults, so this is a real powerhouse of a pattern. You can see by how chunky that envelope is. There's a lot in there, and I don't know what's going on with the monogram there, and whether there's any instructions for that. But yeah, you've got your piping on here, so that's very similar to what they did, and very similar to Manyi's sort of winning garment of the week, which was so thoroughly deserved. Pyjamas were beautiful. Another little option here is 9218, and this is more of a tunic style, and this reminded me of the pyjamas that Jill made. Yep, so not a huge amount to say, but again, that's got ladies, men's and children, and that's where these pyjama patterns really come into their own, because you get, if you trace them and you look after them, you get such good value from them. And finally, although this isn't a men's one, I thought I would just throw in my absolute favourite, the Closet Core Carolyn pyjamas. I have made this pattern, I think maybe 4 times now. I love this. So if you were inspired by the pyjamas but just want them for ladies, I can thoroughly recommend this one. This is what I was wearing while I was watching. So again, it's got all the instructions for adding the piping around the cuffs, around the buttons, around the edges. Yeah, really good. Love that one. So fabrics wise, let's just have a bit of tea. I don't know what I'm having for my tea tonight, actually, my actual tea. My husband's gone away with the kids, so I'm sort of left to my own devices. So I don't know what I'm going to have. The world is my oyster. And if that isn't digressing, I don't know what is. So, fabric choices on the show. I was so pleased to see them talking about cotton lawn. As you know, I love cotton lawn. It is one of my most favourite fabrics. It's easy to sew with, it's light, it's comfortable, it drapes well, it's luxurious. If I had to pick for that challenge, it would 100% have been cotton lawn. The silk, I can understand that ticks the luxurious box, but personally, I think it, well, as it proved with Poor Christian, it's a recipe for disaster to try and sew on TV with 100% silk. The only sort of thing that I did struggle a bit was them using like Duchess satin. It's quite thick and it's quite heavy, and yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to sleep in Duchess satin. Like, it could be quite sweaty because it's generally polyester. So yeah, that was different, but I get why they would have used that to get that sort of luxurious look. So the first fabric that I will show you is a cotton sateen. So that means it's got like a sort of silky finish to it. And I'm going to show you this one because it's got a wonderful paisley print. This is the Free Spirit cotton, and yeah, if I was going on the show, I think this would be an awesome choice for men's pyjamas. I remember my brothers having paisley pyjamas when we were little. They're quite a bit older than me as well. Yep, so that's a nice choice, and that's nice and soft and breathable and lightweight, because I think breathability is a big factor to think about when you're doing sleepwear. Also on the cottons, this is a cotton lawn. This is the Compass cotton lawn, and this is an unusual print. It's not a floral, so yeah, we can hold it up close so you can see the little compasses on it. It's sort of a deep navy colour with this soft grey on top. Really unusual, and I think that would make lovely pyjamas for a man. And finally this one, and this is the Mono Diamonds, and again, oops, how's that cottage? I'll show you there. Again, I think that would just make lovely pyjamas, but just soft, you can see the movement on it. Fabulous. If I would just throw in a cotton, a slightly heavier cotton, just because it was reminiscent of Deborah's garment, which was stunning. Her pattern placement was amazing. And this is the Penny Spot cotton sateen. So if you did want a heavier pair, this would be a nice option because it would still be breathable. I really like this fabric, and it's very underrated. I don't feel like it sells as often as it should do, being a classic polka dot. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential. It would go in my list of underappreciated fabrics in the shop. And finally, I will just show you the one and only 100% silk that I have in the shop, and it's a floral, but it is cool. Well, it's beautiful actually, and it's this one here. You can see this is a silk crepe de Chine, and it is phenomenal. Just hold that up there, you can see the colours. I wish I had somewhere to go so I could make a dress from this, because it's just so beautiful. I love it. So I'll pop links to all of those below. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I certainly did. And I really like when we get to this stage in the competition. The field has narrowed quite a lot. Now we're just down to a handful, and you really get to see the characters and the personalities coming out. I think at the start, when there's like 12 of them, it's hard to sort of get to know them, but now we do know the characters a bit better, and yeah, it gets really enjoyable. And now we trip into that stage of you don't want to see anybody go. so the next few weeks are going to be fun. But yeah, really good episode, and I can't film this without mentioning Jill. Jill is incredible. I've followed her on Instagram for a little while now, and it blows my mind what she is able to achieve with one arm. And her speech, her leaving speech about how she has not worn her prosthetic arm since being on the sewing bee, I thought it was just incredible. And I shed a tear, and then when Patrick shed a tear, I shed another one. But just phenomenal and so inspirational, and I think it's amazing that she's been on the show and had that experience, and other people out there will be able to relate to that and be inspired by it. And yeah, the world needs more Jills in it. And she was lovely. So anyway, I am going to get off and go and find something for my tea. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week for the quarterfinals. You take care. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.